Anybody who watches the Board of Finance meetings, one of the more, what's the word I want to use?
The riveting things that go on.
Well, Mr. Jim Walsh, who's a very dedicated Board of Finance member, and he really checks everything out, runs everything up and down. After I spoke to the board, he simply came on and said, I will support this budget.
So that is encouraging for us.
Yeah, very encouraging. The board, and I don't think anybody on the board really, we're not asking for bags of money. It's not a huge expense.
We're also minuscule compared to the rest of the budget.
No, the only thing is the next meeting is the RTM. Now, once the Board of Finance passes the budget, the only thing that the RTM can do is lower a budget. They can't add to a budget. They can only lower it. And I don't really suspect that they will do anything in that regard for the FairTV budget.
Like I said, we are minuscule compared to the rest of the budget.
In regards to my monthly report, I hope everybody had a chance to look at my notes this month. There's not that much happening operationally. I'm just waiting for an invoice that was somewhat mislabeled from HB, and I'm just waiting for them to correct it. I'm pretty sure they will. It's not a huge issue. And then I can submit that to the state for compliance on the PEG-PISA grant. In last month's meeting, I mentioned, that the Cable Advisory Council grant's coming up, and we should think about, what we want to go for in that grant, if there's anything we want to go for. Now, we have cameras and machines and microphones and wires, and, we have just about everything we need to do FairTV at the moment as far as production. One of the elements, though, that will need attention, and actually needs attention now, is the transmission hardware for Frontier Cable. It was originally purchased when AT&T was Frontier, and they paid to put it in. It's the equipment installation. If we had to pay for it, would have been about $19,000.
Yep, but how many years ago was that?
That was like 10 years ago. But that also includes infrastructure, for them on the line and stuff, and patching us in and all that other sort of thing beyond just the hardware that exists in our broadcast home. But that hardware is beginning to become unreliable. Just about every other day I have to probably reboot the Frontier device or the government channel because it isn't functioning properly. Or I have to call them down in Florida and they reboot it. So I contacted the Cable Advisory Council to see if this was an item that I could get a grant for. Because I just wanted to make sure before I wrote a grant. They came back to me and they told me that the money that the Cable Advisory Council from Area 2 gets is money from Altice, which very well may be. But the reality is that they get $100,000 out of the third-party provider's budget. That's Soundview Community.
Also, if I can interrupt for a minute, Altice has bought Cablevision. I think they're a Belgian company or something, but they have taken over. They're remaining very quiet and in the background, but they've taken over Cablevision. Just so you know.
Yeah, they bought Cablevision a long time ago, a couple of years back.
Yeah. But some of us may not know the name.
Sorry?
Oh, just some of the commissioners may not know the name.
Oh, well, there you go. In any case, that's who we, do. That's the parent company for Cablevision, for Optimum, actually. Frontier bought AT&T Uverse franchise, around the country, and they will not pay to upgrade this equipment. I kind of knew that because AT&T, back when they were in charge, said they wouldn't pay to upgrade the equipment. So I kind of knew that Frontier wouldn't as well. But when I approached the CAC, they said, as I said, they get their money from LTs, which is probably true in one respect, but the money is actually out of a larger fund of money from both Frontier and Altice that goes into Soundview for their PEG fund contribution that they get. They get about $1 million in total or more a year from both Frontier, Altice, and Dish. And I'm assuming that they don't have separate accounts for Frontier, Altice, and Dish that commingle their money. So when that $100,000 check is written, I'm assuming that it's written against Soundview's accounts.
And then that's what gets split up by the CAC to the towns.
Yeah, they then are obligated to provide $100,000 support to the Cable Advisory Council of Area 2, which was created through a law, which was in my notes. It was created through a law in 2008, HB 1514. And in that law, it does not, and in the distribution of that money, it does not state LTs or anybody. I mean, at the time, AT&T was booting up. They were going around to towns hanging brown boxes on phone poles and whatnot. And Verizon was positioning to come to the state as well. But our main players are Altice and Frontier. They are cable companies within Area 2, and therefore are obligated to provide PEG fund money, which is collected in everybody's cable bill every month, about $7.05.
Yeah, if you look at the cable bill, you'll see that there is that you pay that, and everybody in the state pays that, and then it goes into a fund.
No, this money is collected by the cable companies, and the cable companies disperse the PEG fund money.
Right.
Okay?
It goes into a fund when you pay the cable bill. There's a
PEG that the state created that takes 1% of all the cable entities in the state and pools it in, and that's where we got our grant money for, our upgrades. But the Cable Advisory Council money is different. It's not from the state. It's directly from the cable companies, which gets it directly from subscribers. And we get $100,000 of that out of Soundview's overall budget. So, to go back to my quandary, I don't know why we should be able to access the Cable Advisory Council grant to service a cable platform that is part of our platform, part of everybody's PEG platform in Area 2. They all have this equipment. They've all had it for 10 or 8 years, or as long as we had. And sooner or later, it's going to fail on them, and they're going to either have to go to their town, or to the CAC, or to the PEG-PISA grant. Now, we could go to the PEG-PISA grant and roll the dice, but that's a far larger pool of applicants than the Cable Advisory Council of Area 2. And I'm waiting on an estimate from Frontier in regards to this upgrade. Now, it's important to understand that Frontier will not just replace the equipment that we have at the hub. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello? Yeah.
Go ahead.
They won't replace that. What they will do, and if we just replaced those devices, those encoders, etc., they would not service them, or if there was an issue in transmission, it'd be, sorry, Jack, that's not our gear. So what they are willing to do is they are willing to replace the devices, and also from their infrastructure
at our cost, right?
Pardon? Yeah, they would charge us. It's not going to be free.
Yep.
But they would also, from their infrastructure, they would also upgrade the entire line infrastructure from FairTV to them in HD. So in other words, our transmission to Frontier would be HD. So that would give us two HD resources, one being our web stream and the other being Frontier. Now Optimum, unless they got some kind of surprise coming along, would be still the SD level, and then that does create a problem for us. We have to, step down our signal, and if we record.
Jerry, can I ask a question, Jerry? So does that means that this is something I remember, when we first met, when I was first introduced to the commission. I was asking, what's the story with HD? It almost surprised me that standard def still existed, right? But so would we be broadcast in HD at that point?
Only on Frontier, and also on our web stream, which we sort of do now. But we would also record in HD because we would have to send an HD signal. We don't need to be stepping it up from a SD signal.
Which would be generation if we do that.
Right. Well, then where would it be down converted? For Optimum or whatever.
We would down convert it we already do down convert to some degree.
So then you'd have to be doing both essentially, right?
Pardon?
So if you were doing that, you'd have to be like sending two signals. One would be HD one would be.
We would just send an HD signal, and then it gets converted at our broadcast hub in Town Hall.
Okay, gotcha.
Right?
So then you're sending. I apologize. Like I don't know. I keep learning every time we talk about this regarding TV because I'm such an internet person. So when it gets converted at Town Hall, is it going? Is it then splitting in two places, one to Frontier and one to Optimum, or whatever?
Well, how we would set it up is we would create a pass through. First of all, starting at the production site, we would be recording and processing and sending HD. Okay?
Yeah.
And that would go to the hub in Town Hall, where a pass-through would be created to both our web stream and Frontier, and so the same HD signal would go to those two platforms, but we would have to...
It would remain in HD. It would remain in HD.
Right. But in order to go to Optimum, that's where we would convert down on another. But that would be at Town Hall, not from our production location.
As far as we're concerned,
that's just the opportunity to be HD. It would seem to be a good thing considering every iPhone does HD.
It's a big step.
Yeah,
and we've been hamstrung. We've been hamstrung because none of the broadcasters, we couldn't get HD out, so we had to do SD because it wasn't a bandwidth.
Right, and then couldn't you just after the fact, couldn't we just go to Optimum and say, hey, look, your competitor is giving us HD? No.
Well, I wish we could do.
That wasn't a list. You're thinking the way I'm thinking.
I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't care. But I mean, look, I think it's great, and I think it's actually like. Maybe it opens the door to. I just always thought it would be a cool thing to have, some student work or something that, like I know there's some video classes at like the high school, for example. Maybe it opens a door for, putting some of that on. I know this is a bigger discussion. We don't have to have it right now, but I'd love to investigate like how we can just open the door to share some like good, wholesome educational stuff that the students might be working on, or who knows,
We do run some stuff that comes out of Ward High School. It's civics-oriented programming, things about, we over the years, we run stuff on Harriet Beecher Stowe, Lincoln, lacrosse. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I slip in and out. It's become kind of tired, I have to admit. But, we work it in and out on the educational system.
I think it sounds awesome though. I love, like, look, every kid knows how to put something on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever these days. They can sort of broadcast their stuff, if you will. But there's such a big part of, like, I think learning lost when you just turn on your iPhone and record something versus when you have to record something and maybe do a little editing and then, convert it to a certain kind of format and deliver it to a, television station, so to speak. And I feel like there's such a cool opportunity for, people, who are interested to, go and turn on the TV and witness the magic of, like, my stuff is on TV.
I think, believe me, Alex, this is my realm. I come out of the art world. I come out of the community television world. I mean, there's a couple of things here. Now, we have been able to run stuff from Ward High School. They send us about 3 or 4, maybe 5 pieces a year. I've tried to get Ludlow to do it. And I've been doing this for a number of years, and I haven't got one thing out of Ludlow High School. And the last time we worked with Ludlow High School, the kid that was working with us tried to commandeer our, the show. But, he's very aggressive, and I'm sure we'll see him on TV one day. But we haven't had a lot of luck with getting the schools to provide content. But the other side of that is as well, is we are somewhat limited by our charge within the town charter of what we can show and not show. Now, granted, on the educational channel, I've run, like I say, recital pieces and, some little concerts over at the Peacock Library, stuff. And that's great. We just don't get enough of it. But it all
actually falls under the educational banner, so we can get away with that. Unfortunately, the charter doesn't allow us to do anything else.
What I might suggest, and perhaps coming from the FairTV Commission, is some sort of reach out to the schools and say, hey, look, we're looking for stuff. We'd love to have it. Maybe go over and meet with somebody, the Regina over at Ludlow, or Win Gartsu at Ward, or even at the elementary schools like Tomlinson, or, Fairfield.
Yeah, no, I love this. I mean, look, I was sort of informally through the, asked to, at some point give like a little, clinic or something on, video production in the way that I do it, right, to some of the students here in town. It hasn't happened, but this would, like, make me excited because I'd say, well, look, do something wholesome, educational, whatever. Well, obviously, it has to fit within the existing, ordinance, charter, or whatever. But I'd be like, and then we can, submit it to FairTV, and you can learn all these cool steps.
Well, again, like I said, I have tried to do this on an informal level over the years. I mean, I've been in and out of most of the schools, and I've had the opportunity to talk to 3 different superintendents of the public school system about this, and they stand there and they smile and they look at me and they, and then nothing happens.
And they go on their merry way.
I'll put a call into Alice Gorman. She's the guidance counselor at Ludlow. I went in there last year on career day and told 2 classrooms of kids what I did in wealth management. And actually a kid asked me to be his mentor, and he's still working with him. He's a freshman at BC now. Great kid. But Alice, what you're talking about is fabulous. And I know that Alice would probably be interested in this, and I'm sure when the world reopens, they'll redo a career day. And, Alex, you should definitely come in and do that, and then weave in FairTV. That's all.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good plan.
I mean, I was there filming for the mask video here in Fairfield.
Right.
And we filmed at Ward and Ludlow and Sacred Heart and Fairfield U.
Yep.
I don't know if everybody's seen that video, but, I think, like, and there's been more since then. So I don't know. I think it would be fun. And again, just like not trying to change the charter here. That's something we can visit when when Chairman Stu feels the timing's right, and I'm cool with that. But I don't know. I'm just trying to think up like ways that we could take advantage of.
I think the suggestion that was just made is an excellent one. We should put together some sort of paperwork or flyer to hand out or to distribute. Remains as a reminder. Even if you just go over and put a flyer on the wall at the video studio at the 2 high schools. I don't know. But the bottom line is there's one other thing, and I don't mean to digress. If we go to HD on this level, we're talking about bigger files, and whether or not how these larger files will transport over the town network, and that sort of thing, which has to be sort of figured out. I mean, we're not like plugged in like a regular TV studio or a remote operation, and we are sort of bound to whatever limitations the school network or the town network can stand.
Well, that happens every time you go out to any venue now.
And also there's the aspect of, we can shoot in HD. That means we have large HD files to maintain. And it's not a huge deal, but we need to have the storage that interfaces with our broadcast servers. And again, like I said, we have to make that split out to, let's say, if we can go this route, do Frontier and Optimum on separate levels. Now, I don't know. Tomorrow evening there's a meeting with the Cable Advisory Council. The government representative from Altice will be there. I don't know what she's going to say. Who knows? Maybe they're going to say, "Hey, we got HD for you," which would be like, "Oh my God!" But I don't know if that. I don't necessarily think that's the case.
Right.
I am with everybody as far as yes. I would. I'm sit here and torture myself when the various elected officials pull up a PowerPoint and the only thing you can read is the color bands around the top or the bottom.
Right,
because they've made the font too small or, whatever, too much copy, and it's there. It's sort of a false graphic, but it does, okay, this is what we're talking about. And that's the WebEx thing, but it would still occur if we were in a live meeting, an in-person meeting at the moment. So we do have the equipment, of course. We have the cameras that can handle HD, and we would probably have to get another new TriCaster Mini because our older TriCasters, which we employ regularly nowadays, they have HD capability, but not too really sophisticated. We could probably, I'd have to check them out a little further because I've never really used them for HD, but they will handle HD. And so to get back to this situation with getting the money, and that'll kind of round us out, it wasn't as though the CAC was against the idea. It's just that they feel because they think that the only place we get our money from is Altice, that it would be sort of, the best inappropriate to use their money to upgrade a competitor's equipment. So the discussion has to happen with the Cable Advisory Council, and it may happen tomorrow night, that, look, Soundview gets their money from everybody. Soundview is the one that the law was written to address, to give us money to support our efforts. Therefore, there should not be any differentiation as to how we apply the money in regard to one cable platform or the other that we're engaged in working with. So,
hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Mark.
Yep.
I don't think we've met, but I'm listening and very fascinated by what you're saying. Is there any actual limitations in the money that comes from CAC? They may think that they don't like the idea of, if they interpret it as Altice money being spent on Frontier goods, but is there anything that limits what somebody does with the grant from them?
Well, you have to apply for the money and tell them what you're using it for them. And again, I want to emphasize the Cable Advisory Council has been very, very, very helpful to FairTV. Back when we first started and the town didn't give us any money, they gave us money. We bought our first 2 sets of production kits, about $35,000 of stuff. They've given us money for labor over the years before the town started paying for freelance labor. They have been extremely supportive. So I'm not looking to be an adversary to the Cable Advisory Council.
Right, and we'll have the meeting tomorrow. We'll talk about all that, I think.
Yeah. Now, again, I didn't get the impression. I mean, I think that they're not adamant about this. You know, I mean, they want to have a discussion, and I was surprised, though. I didn't really see the name of the Frontier government rep on tomorrow night's mailing, for their agenda mailing list. So I don't know if a Frontier person is going to be there or not. But
they may not be able to get them.
Money to Soundview. Altice gives money to Soundview. Oh, yes. And the other thing that they mentioned is that Frontier didn't have the market share that Altice does, so therefore they provide less in PEG funding. Well, I don't really care about that, quite honestly.
Well, that's also a fight on another level. That's beyond us.
If Soundview gets money and commingles, if they spend it wherever they want, however they want. So it is a conversation. And if we come into, I don't mean to go back in time here, and I know I'm taking a lot of time, but to understand the development of Cable Area 2 public access, what's called town-specific programming, which FairTV is a part of. There's 4 towns that broke away from the regional provider via state law, which allowed, originally when it was created, when it was all created, we were supposed to be able to utilize narrowcasting. I assume everybody kind of knows what that is. Broadcast to Fairfield only. That was always in the game plan, but Soundview kind of gamed the thing and said, "Oh no, you got to go through us," which is ridiculous. 6 towns trying to program through one channel all their town meetings. I mean, you just can't do that. It's impossible. And it's but their idea was, the community wants regional. Well, not really. They never did. And so we went to the state and we got the law. We were able to get a law passed unanimously in the entire Connecticut state government that gave us this $100,000, told Soundview they had to let us be town specific. And again, if you Google that law in 2008, HB 5814, you'll get a full description of what the law was about. But nowhere in that law does it single out any particular cable provider. It does single out the regional provider having a duty and being bound to provide $100,000 to the Cable Advisory Council of Area 2 for the development of local community television. There's also reference to, if you want to get a little history on the fight, after we won that law, Soundview, up until the law, Soundview made every effort to not give us anything. If you ask for
they wanted to hold on to the money.
A 5-year-old handy cam, there you go. And then once the law was passed, they then went after the law. Well, that went to the Connecticut Superior Court, where the judge in all 4 towns, Woodbridge, Orange, Milford, and Fairfield, all sent their town attorneys up to the state capital to appear at a Superior Court hearing. And the judge wrote approximately a 79-page decision that basically told Soundview to take a hike. And on every page, and I don't have it, I was looking for it, I used to have it, and I haven't, but once I get it again, on just about every page, the judge ripped Soundview a new one as to how they were running what they thought was a community television station. So there you go, and there you are. If anybody has any questions, or if I was, not coherent or, whatever enough, let me know.
Well,
Thanks,
all I can say, thank you, Jerry. Likewise. All I can say is that I've never liked Frontier more than I do right now.
Yeah. Well, we have to deal with Frontier, although I think Frontier is going to be gone soon. But I don't know who's going to replace them, because the idea was AT&T wanted to get out of the landline business, and they kept mobile, all the cell phones. They sold off all the landline service to Frontier. Frontier came in, and they can't handle it. So they're on their verge of bankruptcy, and I don't know who's going to replace them. Because if you have a landline, well, the problem also is the majority of people got rid of their landlines, and they just have cell phones. Like I still have a landline, and I have 2 landlines, because in case there's a loss of power, the phone company has to provide power to the phones, which is why they always work. But
that's right.
But when we have a problem, like we had noise on one of the lines, it took a year and a half. We finally went up to the regional vice president to get this thing resolved, and I still don't think it's resolved. But that's where we are. So we're gonna be in the meeting tomorrow, and we're gonna talk about this.
So there you go. I mean, let's see what Altice has to say. They may say, well, we kind of want to, we think you should get Frontier money too, and they may join in. And,
I can tell you what they're going to say, because I've had the Altice representative go up to the SVAC meeting before COVID hit, and Altice's first thing was, well, we're losing our market share. We shouldn't be have to pay. We should be paying less, and that kind of went by the wayside. They're really not allowed. They can't change it. No matter, they have a certain obligation of a certain amount of money, whether or not they've got the full share of the market or a little piece of market. But that was their first salvo, and I don't. And then COVID hit, and I don't know what's been going on since then.
Well, like I say, I don't understand why, because again, it's not like the state said, back in the day when it was Cablevision, that Cablevision had to pay for this. Cablevision has always been a big supporter of community television. I think they always looked at it as, a good PR, and they've always been very supportive. But I just don't understand why it's always been interpreted that it's always been Cablevision money, unless, of course, now Marlene gets the checks. So if they're Altice checks, they're Altice checks. But the law, as the law stands, there is no indication as to who is solely or group, responsible for the $100,000. So, now the other thing, and Stuart brought something up. Now, if we're concerned about Frontier's longevity, and we go and we try and get some money for this, or we somehow convince our towns to pay for it, and Altice disappears, are we protected in that new company? Now, PEG is a federally protected concept. It's not just some local doohickey law. The cable bill of 1985 includes the existence and the creation of public access television, and that's never been rescinded. And, they've manipulated it a little bit, who gets what and whatnot, but it's never been, you no longer have to support public access television. It's part and parcel to the law, and all laws or amending documents, to date. Right. So, they can't really get rid of that. Now, the state has played around with it a little bit, but still in all, they are subject to the oversight of the federal government when it comes to this.
Right. All right. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We will have an update probably for the next meeting. But Jerry and I will see. If anyone wants
to listen in on that meeting, they should. I don't know if you can participate. They do have public. I don't know if it's, how they'll recognize it, because it's been a while. They haven't done many meetings during this, so they may not have their procedural elements together. But if I can get the phone number, I haven't gotten the agenda yet, so, but I would distribute the number if anybody wants to listen in. And I do strongly recommend you read that, you Google that Connecticut State Bill, once again, HB 5814, and read it, because that is part and parcel to this discussion.
All right. All right. Approval of the minutes of last month's meeting.
Correct. We've got the meeting minutes that I have distributed. Hope everyone had a chance to look at them.
Indeed.
I'll make a motion
to approve. Sorry.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those again?
Opposed? Hearing none, it passes 5-0.
All right. Any unfinished business? I don't think we have anything other than this discussion. We'll continue tomorrow.
I've got one thing. Apologies, everyone. Mark, it's very nice to meet you. This is Alex.
Hey.
Love to meet everybody in person one of these days. I don't know when we're getting to that point, but I'm really looking forward to it. And thanks for everything, guys.
Well, we can always do that outdoors somewhere if you want.
I'm certainly willing when the weather warms up a little bit.
Oh, then we could sit outside. You could sit in the Fairfield Museum outside in the back there.
I would recommend the Gaelic American Club myself, but that's just me.
Okay.
I like the sound of that.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
All right. So I'll finish up as quick as we can because I know you want to get to the Gaelic Club. Any new business? Or any
my mom thought it would be a good idea to give birth to me today. So the only other order is to wish Patrick happy St. Patrick's Day birthday.
Oh, hey, Patrick.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, 55 today, folks.
Happy birthday.
With
all
that,
right.
I'll make a motion to
that would
adjourn.
actually go under unfinished business.
Jerry.
Exactly. We have to wish you a happy birthday, and then we're finished. Any slides?
Jerry. Do we have any slides?
No slides.
No.
Any other new business?
No new business by me.
All right, go to the order, and then I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, consider the meeting adjourned. Go on, everybody, to wherever you're going to go for St. Patrick's Day. Thanks, everybody, and I'll talk to you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the explanation.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.